Good evening. If you're joining us right now, this is the Daily Report coming to you live from the home of Untold Stories, TV47. And my name is Victor Muyakane, and it's my honor to bring this to you tonight. Later on, I shall be joined by Linda Alela in what is known on Tuesday as the People's Court. It's all about you. And tonight, what is under discussion, you may ask? The Finance Bill 2024, arguably the biggest, most divisive conversation happening across the country tonight. We shall be bringing you that conversation right into your living rooms, into your matatus, into your lounges, and wherever it is you're watching us from tonight. And we shall invite you to participate in this conversation, because guess what? It's about you, and it's about me, and it's about our country, Kenya, and the future of this country. We shall be having that conversation a little bit later on. I am joined, of course, by my sign language interpreter, Catherine Simaloy, and together we shall be taking you through the news and reviews from across the region. And with that, let's have a glimpse of what else we have in store for you tonight on the Daily Report.
Tonight,
President William Ruto has held talks with his predecessor, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, regarding concerns over the disbursement of funds allocated to his office. President Ruto has also constituted a team led by Head of Public Service Felix Koskei to address the grievances from the former president's office. And the Insurance Regulatory Authority has announced that Direct Line Assurance is still operational despite the firm's previous statement about closing down. IRA Chief Executive Officer Godfrey Kiptum says that all policies issued by Direct Line remain in full force and effect. And Cape Media Limited has appointed a new Chief Executive Officer who will oversee the operations of TV47, Radio 47 and TV47 Digital to enable the company to realize its full potential. Well, that and so much more we have in store for you tonight. And I'd like to invite you to participate in this conversation. Here's how you do that. The SMS line is on your screen. The WhatsApp number shall be on your screen periodically, as well as a phone line that you shall be using to make the calls to talk to us about how you feel about what's happening in the country tonight. And with that out of the way, shall we begin? And we begin this way. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe, just maybe, the noise made by the office of the fourth president, that is retired President Uhuru Kenyatta, served its purpose. You may ask, how? Well, on Tuesday morning, President William Ruto held talks with his predecessor, a day after the latter complained about the whereabouts of over 1 billion shillings, which had been allocated to the retired president's office. Sources familiar to the matter intimate that President Ruto further went ahead to apologize to the former head of state over the matter, maintaining that the issues raised by the office of the third retired president were unknown to him. Moige William with more.
While addressing its
Tuesday, President William Ruto quickly quelled the simmering tension between his office and that of his former boss, retired President Uhuru Kenyatta. This coming hours after Uhuru's office came out guns blazing over what he termed as mistreatment and frustration by government towards honoring benefits of the retired commander-in-chief. According to sources close to the former president, it is President Ruto who reached out to Uhuru, firstly apologizing over the state of affairs and promising to have a team deal with the issues to a level of finality. State House spokesperson Hussein Mohammed taking to his social media handles, stating that following the talks between Ruto and Uhuru, President Ruto had constituted a team led by the head of public service Felix Koskei to address the grievances raised by the office of the third retired president. Earlier, the spokesperson to the office of the fourth president, Kanzedena, alleged that the former president had been deprived of funds close to 1 billion shillings that had not been received by the office, and that only approximately 4.4% of the total funds for 2 financial years had hit the account of Uhuru's office.
And our worry as an office is a precedence that is being set by the government of the day. Their decision to blatantly ignore execution of the Presidential Act No. 11 of 2023 seems to open up a Pandora's box that will leave a retired head of state at the mercy of the government of the day.
According to Kanze, the lack of budgetary allocation had forced the former president to foot some of his expenses from his pocket, including of the furnishing and running of the office.
In the coming year, which is 2024-2025, the budget allocation is 579 million shillings. Well, the office waits with bated breath to see if this will be honored. You see, the quagmire that this office is in is that the office cannot substantiate what has been used and where the monies have been used.
In a press conference at the Uhuru Kenyatta Institute, Nairobi, Kanze also alleged that Uhuru is currently using vehicles given to him on a transitional basis, those which he departed with from Kasarani after handing over ceremony in September 2022, despite his office kickstarting a conversation on the purchase of vehicles as required by the Retired President Benefits Act of the 2010 Constitution. The office added that even so, fueling of the vehicles was still a challenge, as fuel cards have remained cancelled as of March 2023. Moige William, TV47.
Now, the IRA, that is the Insurance Regulatory Authority, has announced the continued operation of Direct Line Insurance Company. This is despite a communique released through Royal Credit Limited dismissing all staff and seizing all operations of the insurer. The IRA unequivocally assured all Matatu lines using the insurance that they will remain in effect, a statement seconded by the Law Society of Kenya, who confirmed that only the IRA has the mandate to cancel the operations of any insurance company. This comes in the wake of a countrywide worry amongst almost 60% of all Matatus who are insured by the company. This is over the abrupt and immediate cessation of operations that would leave them in limbo.
The Insurance Regulatory Authority has placed Direct Line Insurance under heightened surveillance after the circulation of a communique that dismissed all staff and seized the operation of the company. The furor had Matatu owners and travelers SACCOs at the edge of their seat, as the insurer covers around 60% of the public transport market share. In a statement released by the Insurance Regulatory Authority, highlighting the callous and borderline dangerous manner in which Royal Credit Limited dismissed its staff, the authority stated that all policies issued by Direct Line Assurance Company Limited remain in full force and effect, and the insurer remains liable for any claims arising therefrom. All policyholders of the insurer may continue their operations in accordance with their insurance contracts. Furthermore, it reads that the authority has the sole statutory mandate to approve, suspend, or cancel the operations of any insurance company in Kenya, and this duty cannot be usurped by any unauthorized party.
The recent developments surrounding Direct Line Insurance, a key player in the Kenyan PSV insurance market, the sudden cessation of operations by Direct Line Assurance, as pronounced by the Royal Credit Limited chairman, SK Macharia, has sent shockwaves throughout the industry and raised significant questions about the protection of public interest, policy funds, and integrity of insurance services.
These sentiments were echoed by the Law Society of Kenya, who in no uncertain terms said,
it raises legal, regulatory, and ethical questions that require immediate attention. 1. The intention to terminate insurance services without adequate notice or procedure appears to contravene the provisions of the Insurance Act, the regulatory framework established by the IRA, and such actions undermine the stability and trust in the insurance sector.
And while whatever in-house problems that led to this statement might be minute, whatever implications this harrowing dismissal of services and employment may have is irreversible damage to hundreds of thousands of dependents on Direct Line.
The proposed immediate termination of all employees without due process or consideration of their rights is a clear violation of the Employment Act. Employees are entitled to proper notice, compensation, and benefits as stipulated under the law.
Hipak Said for TV47.
Now, in other news, the delay in release of capitation for primary and secondary schools is now threatening the smooth flow of learning in schools, with school heads threatening to halt activities in schools. In what has caused unrest among the school heads, the lack of funding might force students to go back home, with various politicians arguing that the Ministry of Education has not prioritized learning. Likuyani Member of Parliament Innocent Mugabe has even gone as far as to threaten to present a motion to impeach Education CS Ezekiel Machogu if the situation is not handled properly.
Ukichelewesha capitation inamaanisha ya kwamba lazima principals wafukuze watoto.
This might be the situation in schools. The result of delay in school capitation, threatening learning activities in schools.
Haswa kwa shule za wasichana ili wanafunzi waweze kukaa shuleni na kusoma. Kwa sababu ikichelewa, itabidi mwalimu mkuu aweze kuwatuma nyumbani, waende kutafuta fedha za kuweza kuhakimu shuleni.
School heads say their budgets are always presented on time and there is no reason for capitation to be delayed.
So ukileta capitation at the end of the term, unakuja kulipia yule mwanafunzi mwenye hajaenda kwa shule. Na ndio sisi tunasema kwa Ministry of Education, sisi upitisha budget on time.
The thought of school activities being halted as a result, disorienting some of them.
Without this capitation, we may not be able to send our teams to the next level, that is the regional level, because there are no funds.
Likuyani Member of Parliament Innocent Mugabe has said that capitation is a relief for parents who cannot cater for school fees. He has also urged Education CS Ezekiel Machogu to prioritize education.
Tafadhali tunakuomba, na usipofanya hivi tutakuita kule bungeni. Ile alinturi ilikuwa kionjo. Hii unacheza na mtoto wa maskini, tutashikana na wewe Machogu. Pesa ya capitation isipoenda kwa shule, we will also impeach you.
Vera Alberta, TV47.
And still on matters education and funding, the Principal Secretary for Higher Education, Beatrice Muganda, has a rough time explaining just how the Department of Higher Education came up with a new university's funding model, with Education Committee members questioning the ministry's ability to streamline the new funding model in institutions of higher learning. This comes even as the Cabinet Secretary for Education, Ezekiel Machogu, instructed that first-year students should not have their learning discontinued due to fee issues. Kisewa Emery with that report.
Thank you, Chair. While appearing before the National Assembly's Committee on Education, the Principal Secretary for Higher Education, Beatrice Muganda, had a rough time explaining to members how the State Department came about the fee structure that students have been receiving for enrollment to various universities. Various members of Parliament laid out examples of Form 4 leavers who had received their admission letters but were surprised by the exorbitant fees shown.
Now, this young man came to my office last week saying that, Bwana Mheshimiwa, I may not be able to make it and my parent can never do it. kindly, is it possible that I can get even a P1 course? Nito nisome miaka mbili na nisahau. So Bwana PS, when you talk about the scary pro forma invoices that your investors are issuing, this is some of the examples you're talking about.
The government is supporting these students, and that is why a course like medicine, which is 600,000 for the vulnerable students, the government is paying 570, that is 95% support.
This insisting of help that a student has to be placed for them to apply does not make sense at all unless there are hidden agendas. And as this committee, we need to make it a pronouncement that the two systems must run concurrently.
Let the government pay scholarship. We want to know how much is the household paying.
The placement of students in university was also a hot topic after members of parliament questioned why Kisii University had declared that it had the capacity to take in the most number of first-year students out of all universities in the country, above Nairobi, Maseno and Kenyatta universities, and had received the approval to admit learners from the State Department of Higher Education.
You really let down the Commission for University Education, madam, especially on that issue. If you can accept and validate a university to admit 16,000 students, yet you know in total there are 317 lecturers, they have 14 labs, you are just going to misuse young Kenyans if you are not doing your work as a regulator.
The State Department was also at odds trying to explain the methods used by the testing instrument to determine whether a student is eligible for a HELB loan. Some lawmakers labeled the instrument as discriminatory, citing factors such as gender being taken into account. The committee ordered the Principal Secretary and her team to reconvene on Thursday morning to deliberate further on the means testing instrument, which is certain to raise more issues. Kisewa Emory, TV47.
Now, the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Environment, that is Festus Ngeno, found himself on the spot on Tuesday afternoon answering questions about this year's finance bill from the National Assembly's Finance and Planning Committee, chaired, of course, by Molo MP Kuria Kimani. As Mike Kagongo reports, the Transport and Roads CS, Kipchumba Murkomen, has now urged MPs to find ways to increase the road maintenance levy by 40% to facilitate road repairs in the country.
In a sitting with the Ministry of Environment, MPs wanted to know why the National Environment Management Authority NEMA has proposed the introduction of an eco-levy with an increase in taxes in both imported and locally manufactured plastic products.
We can remind ourselves on the housing levy, where we stated very clearly, when such a levy comes, when you wish such a levy to come into force, there's need to put the law properly, the so-called infrastructure for the levy. You don't just bring the levy, you want to tax the Kenyan citizens before coming up with the law. Is it the same as housing levy process?
We need to balance between environment, the environment as we know, but we must also help to manage the business environment so that we don't kill the business environment.
So this product, when imported as a finished product, comes with one HS code, and therefore it will not attract eco-levy. If this product is manufactured here locally, you will pay eco-levy on this plastic. Don't you see then we will certainly be making our locally manufactured product a lot expensive.
What we are proposing under eco-levy is to levy the packaging material, because packaging material will not be recyclable.
Kenyans wishing to reduce their environmental impact may have to pay more as a result of a proposed eco-levy, which is included in the most recent finance bill draft. President William Ruto's administration supports the tax, which is meant to encourage responsible waste management. The Kuria Kimani-led Finance Committee, after promising Kenyans that it will make changes in the bill according to their wishes, feared it may instead hurt household budgets and prevent access to necessary technologies.
When you increase eco-levy or you introduce eco-levy, this complex analysis affects many other products along the chain, including this Coca-Cola, bread, everywhere, household, that's what's called multiculinary. It affects its effect will actually rise also, will raise the cost of living. The
MPs expressed worries regarding affordability, as the proposed bill targets a wide range of commonplace items. According to PS Festus Ngeno, the Ministry of Environment is targeting to collect close to 54 billion shillings in the next financial year to facilitate management of waste products. Meanwhile, Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen urged MPs to find ways to increase the road maintenance levy by 40% to facilitate road repairs in the country. This will raise the price of petrol by a total of 7 shillings.
If you look at the proposal we've made, we are saying that if we make a proposal of 7 shillings per litre, we'll at least increase the resources to 115 billion. And if you do the calculation there, Mr. Chair, you will find that the current allocation from every constituency for Kenya rural roads would at least go up for Kenya and Kura.
Mike Kagwango, TV 47, Nairobi.
Now, across the country, the finance bill continues to dominate headlines and conversations among ordinary citizens, with the Law Society of Kenya now joining the opposing side of this debate, deeming the finance bill unreasonable. The Law Society of Kenya says that the significant changes proposed to the bill, or rather in the bill, will greatly impact many investors, potentially driving away major investments from the country. Additionally, the LSK emphasized the importance of public participation, urging the committee to consider each and every citizen's viewpoint.
On the issue of cost of living, the bill introduces various provisions that will increase the cost of living for many Kenyans, which the LSK finds problematic. The various proposals in the bill will make life more expensive for a significant portion of the population, adding financial strain to already burdened households. Additionally, the importance of public participation as enshrined under our constitution cannot be overemphasized. As the parliamentary committee continues collecting views from the public, we urge them to actually consider those views. The whole purpose of using taxpayers' coffers should not be as a mere exercise of sitting and talking and wasting time, but they should actually take into consideration the views that have been made by the various parties, and failure to incorporate the views of citizenry will see the Law Society of Kenya as gatekeepers of the rule of law without hesitation seek the necessary legal redress.
And now to some great news. TV47, or Cape Media, has appointed a new chief executive officer who will oversee the operations of TV47, Radio 47 and 47 Digital to enable the company to realize its full potential. Mwenda Njoka has had relevant experience in various media houses, including holding senior managerial positions in media outlets, as well as winning several industry awards. Paul Kirobi with the details.
Utapata kuna place pale ambapo kuna ofisi ya news team.
The fastest growing media brands TV47 and Radio 47 have finally appointed a new chief executive officer and strategic manager. A renowned former journalist will oversee the management of these two rapidly expanding sister companies. The board of directors of Cape Media Limited announced the new appointments on June 10th, 2024, while welcoming the new chief executive officer Geoffrey Mungou, the head of strategy and institutional advancement, and also the head of Radio 47, called upon the staff members to offer their full cooperation.
Tuna matumaini makubwa kama shirika hili la Cape Media. Kwa hivyo jina kamili ni Mr. Mwenda Njoka. Makofi kwake. Kwa hivyo kuanzia leo tarehe 11 Juni ndiye atakuwa afisa mkuu mtendaji, nikimaanisha CEO wa shirika hili la Cape Media Limited. Kwa hivyo ombi langu tu ni kwamba tumpe ushirikiano ufao, tutembee naye katika safari hii, alafu tutafaulu kwa pamoja.
As a new CEO, one thing that I will emphasize is that I operate on an open door policy. I'll be available anytime for consultation, for advice, for everything on a 24/7 basis.
Njoka brings a wealth of experience, having served in the media industry for over 30 years. Before his new appointment, he was the CEO of the Government Press and the Government Print of the Republic of Kenya. Throughout his career, Njoka has held senior management positions in both print and electronic media outlets across the country. He played a crucial role in creating groundbreaking and award-winning content at Royal Media Services Citizen TV, where he received the best prestigious Kalasha Award for the best TV documentary script. He further extended his media experience with a senior position at the pay TV service provider GOtv. Njoka is a Kenyan investigative journalist and winner of the CNN Journalist of the Year Award. He is among the very few individuals who have been awarded the Moran of the Order of the Burning Spear for his distinguished service to the nation. Apart from his contributions to the media industry, Njoka is an honorary warden appointed under the Wildlife Conservation and Management Act for the Eastern Conservation Area. He holds various professional and academic qualifications from both local institutions and international institutions in South Africa and the United States of America. Paul Kirobi, TV47, Nairobi.
Telecommunications company Airtel is seeking to improve network connectivity across the country in a bid to promote and enable digitization. The telecommunications company says that it aims to ensure that Kenyans in all 47 counties have access to internet services. This will enable them to access, among other things, digital government services. Speaking during the launch of the Airtel Home Broadband, the management says that there are also improving connectivity infrastructure, which will in turn help with the objective of ensuring Kenyans, even in rural areas, have access to fast internet. The move will see thousands of Kenyans be able to access digital services from the comfort of their homes.
Bringing the latest technology to the country is the right thing to do. Adoption may be slow, but we are investing for the future. And as I see it, if you just go back, I would say 4 or 5 years back, when the network was only 3G across the country, there was an investment that one made on making all sites 4G connected. And today, as we speak, about 5-6 years later, all our network towers are 4G connected.
The unlimited plans we are launching today for home are 3 plans, starting from 3,500 for 10 Mbps, and you can also get 20 Mbps for 5,000 shillings and 30 Mbps for 6,500. So we are covering every person's connectivity needs based on the speeds that they would like to have.
We will be deploying the network across the country and hence covering over 94% of the population, and therefore improving the urban coverage, which is the indoor coverage at large, and also extending Airtel's coverage presence in the rural market. All the sites that will be deploying or have been deployed are all 2G, 3G, 4G sites, and happy to say that all our sites today are 4G already.
Sports News brought to you by Maybet. Join Maybet leo upate free bet papo hapo. Fanya hivi, chagua home team to win, yani number 1. Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback, ana sniff Simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays, 6:30.
Kila kiongozi,
as they have to overturn a 3-goal lead for them to qualify for the World Cup. This is after suffering 3-0 loss in their home matches against Kenya. The match is scheduled for Sunday, June the 16th, 2024 at the Ulinzi Sports Complex. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been thinking about having a Kenyan team show up at the World Cup for soccer, then you better be praying hard this Sunday. In other news and still related, Harambee Stars have been registered.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays 6:30.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest
At
of.
what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
Our Father who art in heaven.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries, and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Ambao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who
Well, Good evening. It's about that time to have that conversation we've been telling you about on the People's Court. And tonight we're talking about Finance Bill 2024. And it's my pleasure to introduce my co-presenter for this session, the great Linda Lela. Karibu.
Thank you. Asante sana.
Karibu sana. And now, Linda, why don't you take us away? I understand we've got somebody on standby, somebody on standby. Take us away.
This being the People's Court, it's important that we involve basically everybody, and that's why you said the lines are on. But equally, we have our correspondents down on ground speaking to the people there. As late as now, we need to feel what Kenyans feel on ground. We need to understand whether they understand anything to do with the finance bill, and beyond that, the budget, as you had earlier mentioned, we'd be expecting that on Thursday. And therefore, Alfayo Kombo is on standby all the way from Kisii County. Later on, we'll also be having our very own Willie Dennis Njiru, that is from Naivasha, so that we get to hear what it is that the people of Kisii and Naivasha are telling us, or they are feeling about the finance bill. Alfayo Kombo, if you can hear us.
Good evening, Alfayo.
Thank you very much, Linda Lela with Victor Muyakane all the way from Nairobi. I'm here at Kisii main stage, where I'm with several Kenyans with me, residents from Kisii County, whereby they'll be giving their sentiments on the finance bill that is now becoming a thorn on the flesh of many Kenyans. With me, pengine nikiwaalika mkiweze kuja hapa utueleze wewe kama Mkenya, mama ambaye anajishughulisha na biashara mbalimbali katika taifa ya Kenya. Pengine uweze karibia tu hapa utueleze, je, unahisije kuhusiana na mswada huu wa fedha ambao unatarajiwa kuweza kupita muda wote kutoka sasa hivi, na mswada huu, je, unahisi wewe kama Mkenya wa kawaida utakuwa unakuathiri vipi wewe kama mtendakazi katika taifa hili la Kenya?
Kwa majina ni Sara Kerubo kutoka stage ya Kisii, na mimi ni mkaaji wa Kisii town. Kwa hii bajeti yenye inaenda kupita yenyewe ni itatumisa sana, kwa sababu ikiingia wakati wa kuongeza bill itakuwa kila kitu itakuwa juu. Tumeambiwa kwamba vitu yote ya plastic, kitu yoyote yenye itatumika kwa plastic itakuwa inaenda juu kabisa, na sisi wa Kenya wa kawaida tutakuwa tumeumia sana. Tafadhali, ingekuwa ni uwezo hii bajeti kweli kabisa, watu wengi wameufia sana, ingekuwa imerudi chini, si eti kupanda juu, tutakuwa tumeumia sana wa Kenya wa kawaida.
Pengine tunaona kwamba waziri yule wa barabara ambaye ni Moses Murkomen ameweza kuomba kwamba aweze kuongezewa hela zile za kutengeneza ukarabataji wa barabara. Je, unahisi kwamba swala hili litakufinya wewe kama Mkenya?
Hii about nini ya barabara, huyu Murkomen, kweli kabisa hii nini ya barabara itakuwa pia, ingekuwa ni uwezo angeongezewa pesa tengeneza barabara. Kwa ukweli barabara kweli itakuwa imeumiza watu wengi sana kabisa. Kwa sababu gani? Itakuwa imepewa bajeti itaenda juu na tutakuwa tunazidi kuumia kabisa. Na ukweli kabisa hii Kenya yetu kabisa penye tumefikia yenyewe, bajeti itaenda juu na kila kitu tutakuwa tunaumia kila upande.
Wewe kama Mkenya ukiweza ulizwa kwamba bajeti hii finance bill hii, ukiulizwa kama utaipigia kura au utaikataa, jibu lako ni lipi?
Yenyewe kwa upande wangu mimi nitaiangusha. Sitasema kwamba ikiwa inaongezwa, mimi nitaiangusha kabisa. Ikiwa ni vetting tutakuwa tumeangusha wote.
Naam, asante sana. Pengine niweze kumkaribisha mmoja mzee hapa, tueleze jina lako ni nani? Hasa tuliona kwamba kulikuwa na public participation ambayo iliweza kufanywa hasa pakubwa, na Wakenya walitoa maoni yao. Ni kipi kile ambacho unahisi kwamba kuhusiana na finance bill hii itakuwa inakuathiri wewe kama Mkenya?
Mimi kwanza kwa majina ninaitwa Geoffrey Mauti. Sasa hii kitu naona watu waangushe juu, vitu itapanda juu, maisha itapanda juu.
Na pengine unahisi ni baadhi ya vitu vipi vile ambavyo vitakuathiri wewe na utendakazi wako wa kila siku, na itakusukuma vipi mpaka ambapo umeweza kuamua kwamba bajeti hii iweze kuondolewa?
Vitu kama chakula wacha watoe kabisa, watoe hiyo tax na vitu zote.
Naam, asante sana. Pengine tuweze kukaribisha mkazi wetu wa mwisho, atueleze hisia zako ni zipi kuhusiana na finance bill hii ambayo huenda ikapitishwa, na tunatarajia kwamba siku ya Alhamisi tutakuwa bajeti inasomwa. Je, wewe kama Mkenya wa kawaida inakuathiri vipi?
Kwa majina naitwa Geoffrey Kekesa wa Green Poma Nyabisabo. Mimi ni mfanya biashara wa hapa Kisii. Hii bajeti mimi nitaiangusha. Gharama imekuwa juu sana, maisha imekuwa ngumu, tunasukuma maisha inakuwa ngumu. Sasa sisi kama Wakenya tunaumia sana. Mimi nitaiangusha na sitakubali hii mswada ipitishwe.
Pengine unahisi kwamba Rais William Ruto anajali Wakenya ambao waliweza kuamka asubuhi na mapema na kuweza kupiga kura ili kuweza kumchagua kama rais?
Rais wetu tulimpenda tukampea kula, lakini sasa sisi watu wa chini kama Maasora ametusahau. Atukumbuke, akitukumbuka mimi kwa bwande yangu hii mswada mimi sitaipitisha. Tumeumia sana sisi kama Wakenya. Sana kama sisi watu wa Kisii tumeumia sana. Tunalia sana.
Tunaona kwamba shirika la Neema pale linaomba kuweka kitu inaitwa eco levy. Eco levy kwa upande mwingine tunaona kwamba itakuwa inaguza hasa bidhaa nyingi za plastiki. Je, wewe kama Mkenya unahisi kwamba ile finance bill wakati itaweza kupitishwa itakuwa imekuathiri wewe aje na utendakazi wako hapa mjini Kisii? Je, itakulazimisha kuweza kupunguza baadhi ya bajeti zako?
Sana sisi kama wakaaji wa Kisii hiyo bajeti itatuumiza sana. Hizi vitu za plastiki ndio tunatumianga sisi kama watu wa chini sana. Tutaumia. Naomba rais aangalie kitu, mimi sitaipitisha. Sisi kama watu wa Kisii nikiwa mmoja wao tumekataa msaada, tutapitisha.
Naam, asante sana. Thank you very much, Linda Alela and Victor Moyakane from the other sides of Nairobi studio. As you have just heard, these are various sentiments of Kenyans who are very anguished with this finance bill, and majority of them, as you have heard, they are rejecting this finance bill heavily with a lot of concussion. I don't have much to say, but to pass back the mantle to you in studio, Victor Moyakane and Linda Alela.
Thank you so much, Fire Combo, for raising the call, yes.
Right.
And as well updating us on what the people of Kisii have to say. Petition, does it really count? We'll be coming back to that. And I've also seen the MSME expert that we have on board, Victor Agola, laughing while, those people were trying to, just echo their sentiments. I'll be coming to him to understand whether he feels Kenyans are talking at a point of understanding, a point of knowledge, or not. But before then, we equally have Willie Dennis Njiru, as earlier mentioned, on standby. That is in Naivasha. Willie, if you can hear me, what do the people of Naivasha have to say about the finance bill, about the budget that we're expecting to be read on a Thursday?
Thank you, Linda. Coming to you live from the lakeside town of Naivasha. It is indeed a calm evening here in Naivasha. And if my camera person could pan to my right side, we have a part of Naivasha residents, but much of this crowd is just right behind my camera person, staying put to listen to what the locals here have to echo. Tukizungumzia mambo ya ile ambayo iko mbele yetu ya bajeti, utasema nini kuyahusu? Songa karibu hapa. Nakusikia microphone.
Kwangu mimi naona,
jitambulishe kwanza.
Kwanza naitwa Isaac. Mimi ni mkaaji wa hapa Naivasha.
Ni mambo ya finance bill.
Kuhusu finance bill, mimi naona hao watu wanatumaliza, kwa sababu kitu ya kwanza wakiwekea hii magari tax. Hiyo magari tax, ujue kila mtu anahitaji gari. Sasa kama sisi wakulima pale tukifanya ukulima, kama gari inataksiwa, hiyo pesa ya tax itabidi ianguke kwetu. Sasa mimi hiyo mambo ya finance bill siungi mkono hata kidogo. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa.
Kumekuwa wengine wamekuwa wakisema hapa kabla tujaenda hewani kwamba hata yale mapendekezo huenda yatasikizwa tu, yatapitishwa yalivyo. Sijui una yapi ya kusema kuhusiana na hilo.
Sasa kuhusiana na hilo, sasa sisi mimi kama mwananchi, hiyo siwezi kubaliana na wao. Hata wakipitisha hiyo, sasa sijui sasa tutafanya aje. Lakini inaonekana sasa Mkenya hana sauti. Kama wenye wanamtetea hawawezi sikiza maoni yake, hiyo inaonyeshana Kenya wananchi hawana sauti.
Endapo wabunge watakusikiza na wabadilishe maamuzi yaliyoko kwa kupitia sauti yako, ni ujumbe gani ambao ungewapitishia?
Hao ningewapa heko. Sababu sasa nitaona wananisikiza na ninaona wananiambia.
Ungewaambia vipi?
Ningewaambia heko na ningewatambua. Nitaona kula yangu ilifanya kazi.
Sawa, acha tumsikiza mwingine hapa. Songea karibu ndugu. Nieleze maoni yako kuhusiana na swala hilo.
Maoni yangu kuhusiana na swali hilo.
Jitambulishe kwanza.
Kwa majina yangu ni Richard kutoka kaunti ya Narok. Kutokana na hili jambo, kuonekana Wakenya huwa wanaumia sana, huwa hawapendi kulingana na venye huwa tunasikiza sauti zao. So kulingana na venye tunaona na venye tunayapitia sisi tukiwa wa Kenya, hiyo inatuumiza.
Mbunge wa Molo kwa hivi sasa wanaendelea kukagua yale maoni ya raia. Wiki kesho mswada yale ambayo yameshazungumziwa na raia yatakuwa kipelekwa bungeni kujadiliwa, kupitishwa au kuangushwa. Ikumbukwa pia siku 2 zijazo, kesho kutwa tutakuwa tunasomewa bajeti ya mwaka huu na mwaka kesho.
Sasa kulingana na venye wa Kenya wanaona ama kulingana na venye sisi tunaona tukiwa wa Kenya, mbunge wetu yale alikuwa anayasema ama yenye ataenda kuyasema, tunaomba tu tukiwa tuende kinyume na yenye alikuwa wanaweza kama ni kitu yenye inawasaidia wa Kenya.
Asante. Wacha tusikie mwingine hapa kabla tujamalizia. Ndugu, jitambulishe jina lako.
Kwa majina naitwa Ali, mimi ni mkazi wa hapa Naivasha. So kulingana na hiyo finance bill tunaona, maoni yangu tunaona hapo tunafinywa. Tulifikiria hii serikali itatuinua lakini inatukandamiza kabisa. Pia mkulima mdogo tunaumia sisi wote.
Tayari gharama ya maisha iko juu. Sijui ungependa nini kabla tujapitisha mwingine?
Ningependa vile Rais William Ruto alisema atapunguza gharama ya maisha lakini hatujaona any changes. Yes, hatujaona.
Asante, labda kidogo ndugu kuja tumalizia na wewe hapa kwa sababu wengine wamegura. Nieleze tu jina lako, mambo ya finance bill.
Kwa majina ni John, mkazi wa Naivasha. So Kenya tungeomba tu kama wa Kenya, taxes zimekuwa mingi sana, and so anafaa kuangalia mambo ya Wakenya ya to and from, chakula nini, so taxes zireduce. Ndio.
Sasa ungependa kama tax ni nzuri, zinasaidia.
Ndio.
Lakini tax kwa chakula ndicho ungependa labda iangaliwe?
Sana hapo. Ndio.
Asante sana kwa muda wako. Linda, is only not possible. The guys behind me are so many listening, consuming raw on what our fellow colleagues here in Naivasha have to say. Indeed, they allude to the fact that we all have to pay taxes, but in a manner that is conducive to accommodate every citizen, bearing in mind the predicaments and the hard economic times that we are all facing as of this moment. We will be glued to the discussion in the studios and we'll be having an insight from your panelists in matters budget. Back to you, Linda, in our studios in the capital city.
All right. Thank you so much, Willie Dennis. And like you rightfully say, I hope you would just, stick around, get to listen to this in the event that you have questions. I mean, we'll certainly also allow for you to ask all that, because herein we also have experts, that would speak to the question of the finances. But basically, we have the common mwananchi. And this is a conversation that revolves around the interests of the people. And as we get to the conversation, allow us to introduce the gentleman. Interestingly, I'm the only lady in studio today.
Yeah, looks like that. Ladies,
it is okay. But at least there was someone who was speaking from the other end with Alfayo Kombo.
There was this one lady.
There was this one lady.
The ladies of Kenya, please, show up to conversations like this.
Very important.
Mamzea Japeana visa.
At least we have those ones that are not married, and
therefore visa. And the ladies that have the freedom of movement, please show up to conversations like this.
I hope
this
these
looks like a bull run.
Would give visas back at home, because they would be here and then
visa.
All right, so gentlemen, karibuni sana. Thank you so much for having time to come and speak to us about basically what is happening in the country and beyond the finance bill, beyond the budget. I mean, there's so much that is playing out in the country, and this is a forum that we allow for us to have this conversation. So karibuni sana. I'll begin by introducing the gentleman, that is on the front row. We have Wellington Shivachi, who's an entrepreneur. Wellington, thank you so much for having time to come this evening. As well, we have Moses K. Rono, who's the president of St. Paul's University Students Association. We all understand just how powerful students are.
Yes.
When we get to this, and comrade power, and not just students, but basically student leaders.
Exactly.
Because these ones are the ones who dictate what plays out at that level. So karibu sana. Thank you so much for creating time. Comrade power. And as well, we have, this one is a tongue twister, Chris Chrysanthus.
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 Yes.
Chrysanthus Okaka Okelo.
Yes.
Thank you so much for creating time. And equally, the title is a heavy one.
Heavy.
The chairperson, Afriponics, yeah?
Yes.
Afriponics Marketing Cooperative Society, founder and chief operations officer of DigiChange Agronomics Limited.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Karibu sana, thank you so much for creating time. And on this front row, last but not least, we have none other than Alex Kulema, who's the National Executive Head of Boda Boda Welfare. Alex has been here before,
Oh, yes.
so asante sana for creating time as well to be here. Who
Always
do we
willing
have
to participate.
on the other side?
Yes, indeed. Now, on the other side, we have Mr. Victor Agola. Good evening, sir. Karibu sana. Mr. Agola is an MSME expert. Next to him, we have Mr. Nyangi John Juma. Karibu sana, sir. He is a senior research analyst at the Institute of Public Finance. Karibu sana. And of course, we say last but not least, sir, it's just by virtue of your positioning, we have Mr. Tony Kisaka, who's a strategist. Karibu sana. Gentlemen, and the ladies who are watching, this is where we are. I think I'd like to ask a question. Tuanze tu na hili. Do we think Kenyans truly understand what is in this Finance Bill 2024? And do they really understand what that actually does to affect them? That's the second question. And third, or they're all bundled up together. Do you think that the feeling that the public participation is not going to be fruitful is valid or not? Okay? So I think we can start with our entrepreneur.
Let me pick Victor for
Oh,
obvious
namesake.
reasons, because we've spoken to most of the MSMEs,
Oh, there were 90.
the SMEs
Okay.
and all that, and therefore I'd love to hear what he has to say.
All
I was
right.
literally laughing when listening to them.
All right, Mr. Agola, what do you think about these three questions to set us off?
Thank you very much for having me. I think generally Kenyans are very much aware in terms of budget making process.
Mr. Agola, your mic is not on, please.
It's on now.
Yes, excellent.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Like I said, I think generally Kenyans are very much aware on issues around finance.
It's not working. Let's try the other one. Looks like the mic is also paying taxes.
Is that okay?
Is that right now?
Just say something. Let's
Hello?
Ladies and gentlemen, we apologize for this. Is that better? Technical team, please. Just say something, please.
Victor Otieno, SME, Mwananchi.
Is that working, gentlemen? All right, as we wait for Mr. Agola to speak, perhaps we can ask our very own Mr. Kisaka. You were last to be introduced, you're first to speak. Do you think the citizenry understands the details of the finance bill? Do you think they understand how it affects them? And what do you think about their sentiments on the public participation?
Thank you very much. In terms of the questions that you've asked, I do not think that Kenyans totally understand what the finance bill is all about. I mean, I was just trying to go through and I saw we've got about 20 main aspects in terms of different various taxes, from income tax to excise to VAT, that are being talked about, and with the percentages. And I do not think that they understand that, especially the indirect taxes that are, that are being proposed. So I do not think that most of our Kenyans understand what that entails. And in a way, it's a sad thing, because this is coming at a time where, even when we talk about public participation, we find that, especially at this particular point, our politicians are trying to push a certain agenda. And because they're trying to push a certain agenda, and the powers that be, they're not emphasizing on public participation. It's almost like it's just a box that they're trying to check, as opposed to what public participation is all about. Because I've talked to a couple of people before, and many times they say public participation does not help, which is interesting, because public participation is supposed to bring out what the public feels about a certain aspect. And in this aspect, the finance bill. I do not know amongst us here, panels, and even for you guys there, how many of us have been engaged in any way in public participation where this finance bill is concerned? So if let's say there's no one here, then the question is, who are these people who are going there, and what are they saying And even if they're going there and they're talking about it, is it being taken into consideration? We should get to a place where public participation gets to a place where we say, if there are so many people coming against this, we don't have to wait for Parliament to throw maybe a bill out. But we should be able to come and say, look, the public has said this, it's a no. So either we're going back to them with awareness so that they understand what this is and they come on board, or we now go back and re-strategize and come with propositions that the public will also be agreeable to.
Is it not contradicting to argue that perhaps the public as is right now is arguing at a point of, say, confusion, not much of knowledge about this, and at the same time, equally feel like maybe it would be necessary for them to reconsider the position and the numerous clauses they are in? Is there need for public participation or civic education at this very stage?
Where we are right now, civic education is supposed to be continuous. It's supposed to be ongoing right through, which unfortunately is not there, right, to begin with. Then now public participation is now we're coming and saying, okay, we're focusing on this particular aspect because this is what has been brought onto the table. And you see, it's part of the law that it's supposed to happen. However, the way it's been set up, and I also believe in terms of, if you look at timelines in which this is happening, it's a bit too short. And because there's no civic education, you'll find that even in that public participation, mostly maybe what's happening is civic education that's happening ongoing during the public participation sessions. And while it's happening, it's also happening in a way that, depending on who it is that is giving that civic education. So if I'm the one who's giving it, I'm going to lean towards what I want and what maybe, I would say maybe my bosses or my party or the people that I engage with want. So you see, in that aspect, it's already biased. And when we come and talk about, because we're sharing, before we came on, and we're sharing about this and said, it's unfortunate that even at this particular point, people will always talk about this party and that party, right? The government and the opposition, as opposed to seeing that, look, right now, it's not an election year. We're not talking about elections right now. We're talking about the country. We're talking about Kenya. We're talking about people who are suffering, right? And we're suffering because our minds are so set on who did you support and who is mutu yangu, as opposed to, look, I need to put food on the table for my kids. I need to pay school fees for my kids. I need to be able to take care of the people who I've employed. And so when I'm struggling like that, it's interesting that right now, I would say one of the industries that is really doing well is the child locking industry. Why? Because they're the only ones who are willing to give loans at very high interest, of course. And there are so many people, if you look at the newspapers these days, how many properties, how many vehicles, how many things are being auctioned because people are not able to pay.
Let's take it away from you, but valid points right there. I hope your microphone is okay at this point, Victor. When he argues that we probably are coming from a point where there's not much of understanding, but you argue otherwise. I think it would be important to get to hear why you argue otherwise. But then we have to take a quick short break, and then we come back on that very note. Just get to understand why you think that Kenyans are at a point of understanding. Just who are we talking about when we're talking about Kenyans? Because we also have, specialists in the line of economics that really understand this, and they're the ones who actually are advising some of the Kenyans out here on whether we should, applaud this or say no to it. So allow us to take that short break, and then we'll come back on that note.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave, wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy, who is Clinton, and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness.
People's Court, and tonight we're talking about the Finance Bill 2024. Just before we went on break, Mr. Agola was about to give us his submissions. Mr. Agola, take it away.
Thank you very much. I think Kenyans generally are aware in the sense that whatever action that government takes has a direct bearing on their day-to-day. So for SMEs, if you were to walk out today and talk to a mama mboga or talk to a boda person, they would tell you that either fuel has gone up or the cost of doing business generally is quite high. So from that sense, Kenyans are aware of the challenges of working in an environment that is highly unsupportive. So in terms of engagement with the processes for them to be able to air their views, I think if you look at the submissions that came through to the Finance Department of Finance at the National Assembly, we had over 300 people who had engaged that process. And the way you engage these processes is through association. So it's not like every single Kenyan is going to be able to present their memoranda. So different associations and different BMOs were able to articulate some of the challenges that they feel, either from an SME perspective or from a sector perspective. So in that sense, I think we Kenyans are able to engage. I think the challenge here is whether the feedback that we give to National Assembly is incorporated. And I think that's where we have a challenge, that it's not the first time that we're having a finance bill. Even last year in 2023, the finance bill was highly debated. But the question was, or continues to be, are those submissions listened to? So if the government is not listening, the problem is not the mwananchi, the problem is government is not receptive and possibly is not supporting creating a business environment that is supportive. I think maybe also to use this opportunity to be able to use it as a civic platform for Kenyans is that we need to realize that there are 2 sides to this coin. There's the finance bill, but there's the appropriation bill. So how is this money going to be spent? Is government spending in the right sectors? Are they putting in the correct strategies to ensure that even if you are to raise the taxes to the degree you want, are we going to spur economic growth, or are we just collecting revenue for the
fear then would be, on that very note, because at this point we're talking about the Finance Act 2023 and the bill 2024. And like you rightfully say, most of the people are arguing on basis of the fact that they probably do not understand that, we constantly have these conversations about the finance bill year after year. And therefore, looking at the Act 2023 and how it has functioned perhaps to boost or to better the economy, can you confidently say that then there are possibilities that the 2024 bill, if it goes to being an act, would as well be of any help in terms of growth of economy?
This is the irony. In 2023, for instance, the government introduced gave tax break to e-bicycles. In 2023. In 2024, it's revoking the same thing.
Right.
So you can imagine the question you're asking. Someone made an investment decision based on Finance Bill 2023 because of a tax holiday. 1 year down the line, we are changing that. This is very worrying for SMEs as well as for investors in the sense that we don't see predictability. We need at least 3-4 years for someone to, put a tax break, allow for someone to make an investment, recoup the investment, then maybe probably gradually increase that.
And I probably do not see a mistake in someone retracting on, in what it is that they did, and they realize that they did it wrong, and they take a different position in relation to that. Perhaps this is where research comes in, and the research man is here with us. Do we get ourselves to a point where we've done proper research before we make such decisions? Because, if you're going to make a decision today and then change on the same tomorrow, the probability of doing another mistake in relation to that line, it becomes a problem. What does it mean in terms of the advisory that government gets, in terms of, the research that government conducts before they come to an agreement that this is good for the nation and this is not good? The research man knows himself.
Thank you.
Nyangi, right?
Right, yes. Okay, let me give you statistics about the budget process. It's rightfully that whatever we are discussing today, it's just one stage of the budget process.
Yes.
The budget process goes throughout every day. There's something happening in the budget process. We start with the formulating the budget, which takes about 10 months to finish the formulation. Then it comes to the stage where the budget has to be approved. That is the second stage. And then the budget goes to the implementation, and then the final stage, which is oversight. But we normally see the public becoming very active, very engaged in one stage. That is the approval stage where we are now.
Right.
And when we go into the implementation, we have zero opportunity provided for the citizen to engage, to monitor how the budget is being implemented.
Okay.
When we go to the oversight, zero. So the recent statistics from the Open Budget Survey for 2023 released in this 2024 shows that Kenya has a score of 47% in terms of providing opportunities for the public to participate in the budget. In the first stage, that is formulation, 47 out of 100.
Right.
When we go to approval, where we are now, which is conducted by the National Assembly, Kenya scores 89%.
Okay. In terms
And then,
of participation.
when we go to the implementation, Kenya scores 0. When we go to oversight, Kenya scores 0. So, first of all, we have to commend that, one, Kenya has provided opportunities for the public to engage. You see, the finance committee invites seats. They say, we'll be sitting here. We are inviting these particular associations, these groups, these professional groups to come and give feedback. So that one, we have to commend that opportunities for the public to engage in the budget have been provided. So that is number one. So the second thing now, these views that is given, how does it impact? Is it taken into consideration when the final decision is being made? And the scores that I have given, Kenya is better than the rest of the neighbors around.
Okay.
You check Tanzania, Uganda, Madagascar, the countries around, their scores are below 20. Overall, Kenya, the overall score with the 47, 89, 0, 0, the average becomes to 31.
Okay.
And the global, because this is done at global stage, and this is run by our institution, in partnership with the International Budget Partnership, we find that the global average for public participation in the budget making process is at 16%. So on this one, Kenya still is above 31 when the global is 16. So this tells us then that the people of Kenya are aware of the things that are happening in the budget because it touches them, because they make noise, because the government has reduced their income, has stepped on their feet. Then they say, okay, oh, you are stepping on my feet. Oh, I'm feeling the pain. They're making the noise, they're making the cry because they're feeling the pain.
Okay.
All right.
All right, valid.
Yeah, Wellington, talk to us. From where you sit, what are your views?
Wellington
as
doesn't
Wellington
have a
is
mic.
getting ready, let's talk to you, sir.
Okay.
Mr.
Okaka
Kulema, what views do you have on this finance bill 2024?
Okay, first of all, allow me to divert into Kiswahili so that everyone can get
Karibu sana.
Asante.
Most of my people, they like listening in Kiswahili, not in English.
All right.
Okay. Mimi kwanza nikizungumza ndasema hivi, hii finance bill 2024, kuna mahali ambapo, especially kwa watu wa pikipiki, sababu hiyo najua ndio doketi yangu, lazima tuiangalie mzuri sana. Wamezungumzia kuhusu 3% hiyo custom value. Na unapata kwamba wamegusa mpaka ile pikipiki ambazo zinasaidia hao watu wetu. Kuna pikipiki unajua ukipata sisi kuanzia 250 kwenda juu, you have no problem with that. Sababu hiyo ni sport bike na inasababiwa na yule mtu ambaye ako na uwezo, hata katu wa hiyo 3% haina shida. Lakini pikipiki ambayo inaitwa kadudu, hiyo inaanzia 100 cc na kuna nyingine inaitwa jembe, hiyo ni 150 cc. So utapata hiyo pikipiki kama utaiongezea hiyo bei, hiyo 3% custom value, that means hii pikipiki itapanda bei. Na kwa sasa pikipiki unapata kwamba unajua watu wetu hawajakuwa na hiyo uwezo wa kununua pikipiki Kazman. Wamekuwa wakichukua kwa hao lenders. Na tayari pikipiki kama ni bei ya shilingi imekuwa kama kuanzia 1200 wana double inakuwa 1400. So you can imagine sasa hii kama inaenda kuongezwa hiyo bei tena hiyo 3% itaruka mpaka ngapi? Utapata pikipiki moja mtu amenunua mpaka 1500. Of which hiyo ni pesa mingi sana. Utapata sasa hiyo pikipiki hawa vijana ambao ndio youths wetu watashindwa hata kuziafford. Na ndio mambo mtu anashindwa kuafford kitu, wewe mwenye uko nao inakuwa risk pia kwako. Sababu wewe umepata namna gani? Mimi siwezi afford. So utapata kwamba security itaditimia, na security kirudi chini inamaanisha pia inakuwa ni tizo kwa serikali. So mimi nilikuwa nafikiria kwamba ukisitaki kugusa mambo ya mikate, sababu hata ukininyima jembe yangu, ukiniruhusu nifanye na jembe yangu na bei mzuri, itaniruhusu kuafford hiyo mkate, unaona? Alafu pia ita affect mpaka spare part. Kama sasa unapata mtu analemwa mpaka kununua spare part. So inamaanisha kama wataongeza 3%, that means spare part itapanda juu. Hata helmet itapanda juu. So utapata watu wanaweza kichwa hivyo tu wazi na itakuwa ni hatari sana kwa vijana wetu. So mimi nilikuwa nafikiria hivi, if possible, wavuja hataki kupinga kila kitu. Unajua pia Kenya hatujaitoka kwa siasa. Tumezindia tuko kwa muri kwa siasa. Kenya ndatamuka leo, mwingine atachukulia sema labda ameegemea upande fulani. Mimi nataka kuongea kama kiongozi ya watu wengi. Of course mimi na represent watu 2,200,000 na 1,500,000. Hao ni watu wengi sana Kenya. Na wanataka kusikiza kwamba kama kiongozi wao ni nini umezungumza sio ambayo itawasaidia. Mtu wa bodaboda ukimfinyilia umuongezea hiyo pikipiki ipite bei. Sasa hii kwanza kwa mafuta umemnyonga. Ukuje umemnyonga kwa mkate. Ukuje umnyonge kwa hizo vitu zingine plastic na kadhalika. Tena umnyonge kwa pikipiki. Hiyo itakuwa ni fair sana. Mimi nilikuwa naomba sababu walisema hii serikali ni ya mtu wa bodaboda na mamboga. Sisi watu wa bodaboda wanafeel kwamba hakuna mahali tumekuwa considered.
Hebu niulize, ukilinganisha finance bill ya 2023 na 2024, umeona mabadiliko yoyote? Alafu swali la pili ni, ulihusika katika public participation? Ama nyinyi kama wanabodaboda, you're very organized across the country, by the way, you're very, very organized. Mko na association, mko na vikundi kila mahali, and you're very organized. Were you able to participate kwa haya mambo ya public participation?
Okay, 2023 tu participate, but utapata kwamba hii 2024 tumeparticipate lakini nusu sana. Hadi hatujapata hiyo time nzuri ya kusoma hiyo file, ni mrefu sana. Na unajua pia kama una mzuri wa kusaidia kuangalia vizuri, unapata kwamba kuna zile sort mtu tukifocus pande ya hiyo ya pikipiki peke yake. Yes, tumehusika, lakini ile maoni ambayo tumeyatoa, kuna ile vitu tumetaka ambayo irekebishwe au vicha tuko sure kama itaenda kurekebishwa ama itapita namna hiyo. Si kitu tunaomba serikali ifanye hivi ni kwamba hatuna shida hata kulipa ushuru, na ukiangalia kwamba wasitutaki watukombee na the West, sababu wanasikia wanasema watu wengine ile nchi ambazo tumedevelop kama Amerika walikuwa wamekatwa ushuru kubwa, but ukiangalia Kenya na Amerika huwezi compare. So utapata kwamba yes, sawa tujakataa ushuru inafaa tulipe, but tupe dose, tupe kama dose, tupe dawa moja mara moja, utatuua hata kama fika mahali tunaelekea.
Okay. Mr. Okaka?
Yes.
You were smiling at some of the points Mr. Kulema was saying.
Yes, I was smiling especially because I'm a youth and I also lead youths where I am.
In agriculture?
Yes, in agriculture. And last year I saw there was no tax on, I would say, withholding tax on agricultural products. But this year I'm surprised to see that even the little...
3% or a 5%?
Yeah, it's 5%.
5%, okay.
Yeah, I'm surprised that this year they have introduced this tax, and the youth that is the most active, I would say 18 to 35 are the most active in Kenya, and they're the most active.
How do you think it's going to affect you and your colleagues in the agriculture?
Yeah, it's really badly going to affect especially the cooperatives, because cooperatives ideally, it's that I would say that person in the lower part of the economy, and it has included young people who want to thrive, to see light, and when you introduce taxes to them, they don't see the meaning of living. We will have cases of, say, people taking their lives because they are not able to manage that kind of living. Okay. So I tend to believe that this tax bill, I don't know how it was, they decided to come up with it, but I tend to believe that it was a way to suppress the voter, so that the voter keeps on voting, because they keep on giving you hopes that, tomorrow we are going to now reduce that 5% that withholding tax that we introduced on agriculture, so that you keep on voting for them. And it is time for youths now to stand up and show up and just tell the government that they are powerful and they are the most powerful to even remove them from the seats.
Okay.
Yes.
And I know there's more youth on the table, but just before we shift from you, Mr. Okaka, Mr. Nyange back there said, I mean, there are various stages to this, and one of the things that attracts the least attention is appropriations, how this money is actually going to be spent, or the suggestions on that spending.
Yeah.
They say taxes are as sure as life and death, as the saying goes, To be alive is to be taxed. So assuming that the 5% remains so, even the views that you've given, assuming the government decides to go with it, what would you like to push for that 5% to do for you?
I would be so happy if I had, for example, the government empowers a youth by opening up more job opportunities. Remember,
what do you want the 5% to do for you in your sector?
In our sector, in agriculture, I would want to see that 5%, for example, reducing the price of fertilizers, the price of pesticides, even giving incentives to farmers, giving out, I would say, loans, and even educating young people who are in this sector to even do more production, to cut down the imports that we do every day. Remember, wheat is being imported, but the country has the capability to produce enough wheat to both serve the country as well as the neighborhoods. And remember, every year, over 1 million youths join the market, and they don't have job opportunities.
Right.
The only way we can do it is to support them in agriculture, absorb them in agriculture. But now, if that 5% was removed and perhaps put in, say, fertilizers, or put in pesticides, or even extension, which now has almost dwindled, it will really entice the youths to join agriculture and contribute to production.
So to be clear, yes or no, if they used the money, you have no problem with taxes as long as they use the money properly?
I have a problem with the taxes.
Okay.
And I have a problem especially where is it being taxed.
Right.
I would be so happy if I saw the MP, I saw that governor being taxed overly compared to that Mama Mboga down there.
Okay.
In fact, I just want to say that in Kenya, it is the first time I'm hearing that zero-rated products are also being taxed. For example, the Pampers that we buy every day, bread. It's only bread that is featuring, but I read through that document. I came to realize almost all zero-rated products are being taxed. For what reason?
Well, interesting. Gentlemen.
Kidogo too, there's this Comrade Power.
Comrade Power. You know, he's been wondering kwani namna gani.
Moses Rono is a student leader, the head of the Students Association at St. Paul's University. What do the comrades say about the Finance Bill 2024?
Thank you so much for having us here today. We feel very much represented as the young people. To respond to your first question that you asked, if at all we are understanding what this bill is all about. Somebody says that the enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, but rather illusion of knowledge. And I believe that very many people, especially the young people, they have a basic understanding of what we are talking about. We're having the finance bill, we're having the budget, and so they're like, what are we really talking about here? So there is a lot of confusion. What are we talking about as far as education is concerned? I come from a community that greatly values education, and we believe that education is power, and that's why we're here and continuing to say comrades power. And if this education is getting even more expensive, or the budget allocation for the same is little or reduced by I think 7%, then this you're like taking away our power, and so we feel intimidated as the young people and as the comrade. And we normally like to say that the power of the comrade is close to the power of God, and so we can do something. We can do something. You also asked a question about if at all we feel like our opinions are really taken into consideration. We've been in different spaces advocating for matters about the young people, and more specifically in campuses, and we always talk about we want this change, we suggest this change, and you know, being leaders, we not only take problems but also solutions. But at the same time, you get that the next week, like for example, giving context, a few weeks ago we were called to public institution. I was not there, but they were called to Naivasha to discuss some things about the funding model, capitation and stuff. And most of the student leaders, actually almost all of them, they said no to it. But a week later, you hear the vice chancellors have been called to the State House, and what are the recommendations? They say everything is okay, the student leaders are okay with it, and we are like, now what is this? Because we said this, we suggested this is what on the ground, skiza ground. This is what the ground is saying concerning this, but we are getting totally different things. So as the young people, as the comrades, we don't have confidence in the opinions that we give, the thoughts that we give towards budgets, towards bills. They are not really taken into consideration.
All right. Let me ask you this. We're looking at the budget that has been proposed, and the amounts of money that we're supposed to have as a country to sustain our livelihoods. We're looking at what we collect, way below what it is that has been proposed. Let us be fair to the government or the persons that actually are set to approve this. It will be necessary for them to go that extra mile. That would include, making more, like perhaps adjusting the bracket of tax collection. Do you suppose that as a country we are living beyond our means? Yani tumeamua tu sasa sisi kama Wakenya tunapata mshahara ya 100,000 lakini tunataka kuishi kwa nyumba ya 50,000, and then if 50 imebaki ndio tu decide to split.
First of all, I take this opportunity to thank you for this pleasure moment to be here. For that question, it is fair and also to be sincere, because the government is the one that is supposed to be responsible on how to fulfill all the pledges that they gave to the people of Kenya during their campaigns. And also when it comes to the women empowerment, the youths, and other people like me, I'm the founder and the CEO of a certain organization, and also a SACCO, which is TUFA. I feel that our people are going to be squeezed in a corner like cockroaches, because you see all the self-help groups and the CBOs groups, they are going to be deregistered. And also when they are being deregistered, they are going to register fresh, where they pay the 3,000 shillings for training, and also they pay the other fees where they are going to register fresh, and also they pay so that they can be they can be put in the system or the e-citizens. But the people of association and other people, those ones they don't register them. But the problem is how they are going to be taxed. That is now the problem. And you see how these youths are going to be empowered, when the small banking organizations like the self-help groups and the CBOs, how they are being taxed and how they may be empowering themselves. You see, the few coins that they have, they can use. They cannot empower themselves. Where the problem is, and also when it comes to the taxes that are going to be raised on these transaction fees and the phone, the finances and other transactions that are the taxes that are going to be raised on the transactions on their phones, it is going to affect the mama mboga, the youths and other people.
Before we take a short break, I'll ask this question again. Do you think we're living beyond our means as a country? Yes or no?
No.
All right. We take a short break and then we come back, get to understand why. He argues that we probably are not living beyond our means, and equally we'll be having to hear what it is that the experts have to say on that same note after this short break.
Shall never be the same again with
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kusaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunities, there are those who dare to defy the odds. They are the entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting a business, it's about embracing uncertainty, pushing boundaries and turning dreams into reality.
Hata ambao ni pesa ya kusave. Wallahi. Mbao mwaka ni pesa nyingi sana.
As long as you're earning something, there's always that opportunity to save. And you start with where you are.
The way we run the business is in a very unforgiving way, where every team member has to bring out their best.
So, to all the dreamers, innovators, and risk takers out there, remember, being an entrepreneur isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Join the journey. Become an entrepreneur. The Grind, Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
Here Here on Beyond the Limit, we celebrate the extraordinary achievements of individuals who redefine possibilities. In a journey of resilience and determination, these individuals demonstrate that limitations are merely stepping stones to greatness.
I'm Nancy Njoroge, a mother of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy who is Clinton and who is autistic.
When my heart got healed, I decided to come out to be creating CP awareness, to let other people know that there is such a condition, and people that has it is not that they are witches.
Together, let's go beyond the limit every Saturday at 8 p.m.
Welcome to The Realtor, where we take you on an exciting journey from bare land to dream home. Step 1. Finding the perfect plot. We explore location, size, and potential. Next, construction begins. Witness the foundation being laid, walls rising, and rooms taking shape. Step 3. Electricity matters. We delve into wiring, switches, and smart home tech. Step 4. From paint choices to fixtures, it's all about aesthetics. Step 5. It's time to get the right furniture. Finally, the big day. Time to move in and create memories. Join us on the journey to making homes a reality on The Realtor, Tuesdays, 6:30.
The People's Court.
The People's Court. Now, before we went on break, Mr. Shivachi was telling us particularly about the difficulties which he anticipates
the different
CBOs
sectors.
and different sectors and self-help groups will be going through. Now, I'd like to bring in the first person who spoke, who got us off the ground. Talk to us. What would be the ideal outcome of the current process that is going on? Sir, Mr. Kisaka.
The ideal outcome of the process in terms of the finance bill and working into the budget as well, I'll say the ideal outcome will be for, number one, for Kenyans to first and foremost understand exactly what we're talking about, all right? And then for the government to refocus itself. Because I like what our colleague said, that we're not living beyond our means, because in essence we're already collecting a lot of money, and I feel that we've focused on the wrong side. We should be focusing on closing all those loopholes and gaps that are being exploited, and we're seeing all these cases of fraud and corruption, right? So the country is actually bringing in a lot of money. Kenyans are paying in a lot of money in terms of taxes. But most of that money is disappearing, right? And that's why we are struggling. So I would love to see an outcome where, we're not just talking about, we've added this tax and we've added that tax and we need to have these taxes because we have to pay 1, 2, 3. We have to pay loans that, some of those loans that we are paying for, we don't even know what the money was used for. We don't even understand how was that money brought into the country and what was it used for, yet we're paying for it. When you talk about things like SGR, how many times have we had people saying that, by the way, the amount of money that was used for SGR was supposed to have been enough for it from Mombasa to Malaba, but then that's the same amount of money that was used for it from Mombasa to Nairobi, and nobody's been asking questions about this. So the ideal outcome for me will be for us to start seeing the government being intentional about closing off all those leaking, all those leaks that we have, so we're not leaking revenue. And once we've done that, then we can now be able to say, okay, we have this amount of money in our pot. This is how much is coming in. This is how much we need. And there's this gap. So, when you come to Kenyans and you say we need to increase tax for a certain reason, whatever reason, and it is tax that they're able to understand, they're able to say, okay, we can see where the money is going to. But then the outcry we're having now is because we do not see where that money is going to. Right? We will be able to see, and it's unfortunate because the legislators, the people who are supposed to be discussing this and making sure that we know the Kenyans are taken care of. When Kenyans are struggling and saying, we don't have money, we are retrenching. How many companies have we had are shutting down? How many people are staying without food? And then at that same time, you're seeing politicians saying, I have money. And some of those politicians are people we know personally. And I can be able to say, okay, 20 months ago, this person was even asking me for some money. Right now, I'm looking at the vehicles they're driving, I'm looking at them, you know, they're flaunting money, and I'm wondering, okay, so where is that money coming from? Most likely, a lot of it is from corruption. A lot of it is from all these aspects. We've seen the issues we've had even at the county. And right now, we're seeing, when we come and we see, even the counties, the national government saying, we've made so much money, we've been able to collect so much money. Yet how come, as of now, the national government still owes Kenyans and actually, vendors and suppliers about 650 billion. How come the counties owe 150 billion? Why is it that we're not even able, they're not even able to, the government is not able to pay for the services that it's being given, for the goods that it's actually getting? I would love to see that. Yes, I would love to see that turn around. And if we could be able to have that discussion come in, as we're talking about the finance bill and as we're talking about the budget, and we say, wait, instead of talking about how to get bigger tax brackets, can we now first and foremost make sure that by the time we're talking about that, we are sure that our taxes are safe and they're used for what they're supposed to be used for? We're
looking at 1.6 trillion collection, away from what was anticipated to be 1.98 trillion. Even if we're going to seal all the loopholes, what are the possibilities that we're going to get another, say, 2 trillion to top up to it so that it can match what it is that we're expecting? That is a 3.9 trillion budget. And when we're looking at this, we are looking at a report by the Auditor General herself, Nancy Gathungu, who says, well, of course, this is during her proposals to the National Assembly. She argues that we risk running to more debt. This is contrary to what it is that the Kenya Kwanza anticipated. When they're saying that they're overtaxing, they're actually overtaxing simply because we want to clear all the debt so that we operate on a zero debt basis, which I don't know whether is possible or not. What do you make of this? I mean, when we're talking about this, what are we telling the people of Kenya? What are the possibilities that we can loop all this, we can seal all the loopholes in the question of corruption and ensure that the collection then matches what it is that we spend as a country? We're good.
Yeah, so I think the former CBK governor famously said that, Kenya has a growing GDP, but we can't.
I'm afraid we have to take it away from you again because of the question of the microphone. And we'll be coming back to you with the very same question. So have some time to think about it so we can even get better answers. But yes, we come back to you, Nyangi, and on the question of research and all that. We have great fear based on this, that Kenyans are going to skillfully evade tax collection at this very point, and therefore you'll find them wakicheza, monkey business with the Kanju, monkey business with KRA and all that, so they do not, do this. This is quite a huge risk. What can we do to make sure that we address this before it gets to that point? And based on research, is this really likely to play out?
Yeah, there's a what we call the lava curve. A lava curve, it shows that if you continuously increase taxes, it reaches a certain level when what you're collecting from taxes beginning to diminish with the increase in taxes. Okay. Because when taxes become too high, people are more motivated, one, to evade.
Okay.
Tax evasion is a crime. Or they are motivated to reduce the amount of tax that they are submitting. Okay. For example, the 2.5% of motor vehicle value, there will be more incentive for people to declare less value. Because if your car is 3 million, and you're going to pay 2.5 of 3 million, a max of 100,000, then there's more motivation to give a lower value of that. So when taxes are high and they're reducing the income of the people, evidence shows that they will tend to see how to get away, how to reduce the amount of tax that they are paying.
Historically, and basically what it is that we foresee, is there a point where we can get the tax rate increasing and, at the same time that translating to good revenue collection?
The KRA, for example, the excise duty that they collected on alcohol and all those beverages, with the increase of the excise on alcohol drinks, they collected less. Right now, 10 months of this financial year, which has 2 months to an end, we have the data, KRA has collected only 70%. And this is less than what it collected last year. We had the finance bill which had so many tax amendments, which meant to increase revenue. But surprisingly, the money that KRA has collected for this financial year, 23-24, 10 months, is at 70% of the target. 2022-2023, same time 10 months, was 75%.
Hence my question, is there a point where tax rate increases can translate to good revenue collection based on research?
Good revenue collection? Oh, yes.
So what is this that we're not getting right?
You have to get what we call the optimum.
Yeah.
How much tax can you levy in an economy without harming that economy?
Okay.
And how much is enough is you grow people's income. So as people's income grow, you also grow the rate.
Okay.
And to increase the tax, the best approach is increase the base. Get more people into the bracket. Rather than vertically increasing the tax rate on the same people, you do what? You tend to lower the income you collect. And the best timing, even for increasing tax, is not a time like this. You increase the tax when the economy is at the peak, when there's boom. Then you increase the tax. But when the economy, when people are hurting like this, you incentivize consumption.
Okay.
You increase the disposable income so that when people begin to consume more, the industries begin to produce more, they tend to hire more, and therefore you have what we call, you increase demand. When you increase demand now will create its own supply.
Okay.
But if at this time, when the Kenyans are hurting, and at the same time we are even reducing their disposable income, we have less demand. The factories will start to cut down on their employees.
Okay.
But then, Linda, if you ask, why is government doing this? Do you want to tell me government doesn't come from us? They don't feel what the Kenya is talking? Even if you were the one making these decisions, let me tell you the reason why. We have about 70 shillings for every 100 shillings collected as tax. Public debt service is taking a big share, about 70%. And this was not so 10 years ago. In 2013, 2014, we were only paying about 15 shillings for every 100 shillings that we were collecting in tax. But now, so much tax is needed because we have a very big public debt burden to service. And at some point we say, can we deal, whom do we pay this money to? Can we say, we don't want to pay this debt, or we defer payment of this debt until a point when Kenya can be able to pay debt and at the same time not burdening her people with too much tax, and at the same time not providing defaulting services.
The only concern then is that we are actually going to run into more debt, extend the bracket, the 11 trillion that we're talking about, and extend it to actually, more basically on what it is that we are at, And so we come back to you, Victor, before Victor here comes in. Still on that note, do I need to repeat my question? And I mean, I think in a way they intertwine with basically what it is that he speaks about.
I think the biggest challenge that we have as a country is a lack of investment in private sector. If you look at the last 5-6 years, the share of GDP of manufacturing has been declining. You cannot grow an economy without being a manufacturer. And we have consistently underinvested in manufacturing. We talk about SMEs. SMEs, majority of them are informal, number one. Number two, a majority are traders. So whenever we have systemic shocks, we have elections, SMEs struggle. Whenever we have COVID, whenever any systemic shock that takes place, SMEs are the ones who bear the brunt. It is the prerogative of government to be able to direct SMEs to sectors that can allow them to grow. We know, and that's why I was saying, we need to look at the budget policy statement and ask ourselves, despite us saying, yes, we have high debt, for the little resources or the funding that we have, where is it being invested in? Are we seeing investment in agriculture, as my brother is saying, extension services? Are we seeing input support? Are we seeing investment in technology? The same government can talk about we want to support startups and innovators, but the same government can't even give you a contract for you to be able to design a system for a county government. So we see a lack of seriousness in terms of putting money where we can be able to get economic dividend for us to pay taxes. So it is very possible for you to raise taxes and use the funding in a manner that can be able to grow the economy, and possibly you can be able to service your debts. What we see is an increase in taxes, but wastage, either in terms of corruption or in terms of suboptimal investment in certain sectors. As my brother said, you find there is an allocation on agriculture, for example. Then a few months down the line, there's a supplementary budget that takes away from the allocation you had put. And that's a cat and mouse that we've seen government do. They say, and we all sit and wait for the budget to be read. We are all happy allocation has been done. Then a few months down the line, reallocation of funding to sectors or to programs that we can't see any economic input. So I think we need to hold our leadership, our government, to account in terms of where they invest the money that they collect.
Okay.
All right. Now, Comrade Power, Mr. Rono, I want you to, you mentioned one of the key things you were concerned about was that the youth are not being adequately involved in all these processes. Best case scenario, how would you like to plug in? How would you like to be involved? And what sort of impact do you think the youth would have if they were involved in the processes that they wish to be involved in?
Thank you. The youth, we form the largest in terms of voting capacity and also workforce and manpower that we have. Well, when it comes to participation, we do have ideas when it comes to how do we now the allocation of budget. For example, we had in the year 2023-2024 budget, we were among the highest beneficiaries of that budget. But now comes to 2024-2025, we are having a reduction. And so if this is an investment, then this is a downward investment, as in where is your priority? Where does the priority lies as far as education is concerned? And if we at all say that education is the key to success, then I think we are slowly deviating towards changing the padlock and realizing that in the near future,
the key doesn't work anymore.
The key does not work. So what are we forced to do? We are getting into something else. Somebody mentioned when it comes to wash and stuff. So we as the young people, when it comes to public participation, there is a place where we feel the pinch the most. And there is something that we were discussing a while ago with my friends. And we were talking about when we were children, and we used to sleep together, and everyone likes to pull the blanket to where they feel this is a bit cold. So we know and feel where we feel the cold, and we'd like to move the blanket to our side. And if the youth are the future or the present, as they say, then we need to invest in the youth. We have ideas when it comes to businesses. We are also affected because there are young people who are slowly investing in entrepreneurship. In St. Paul's University, we've started several programs on supporting young entrepreneurs. But now you're imagining this person is struggling with Kuinama. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Kuinama
define for us what Kuinama is.
Kuinama is when you're supposed to eat, but now you just nama. The time passes. Yeah, so it's a slang among our peers. So if we are struggling with Kuinama, and then with the little that we are getting, we want to invest into businesses, then you hear there is a certain tax. You're like, wow, now I cannot even invest in that anymore. So what am I doing here in school? So we can best be involved by, let us give opinions about the young people and what really affects us.
All right. Now, Mr. Kulema, I want to give you an opportunity to nataka uzungumzie swala lolote ambalo liko kwenye roho yako na mafans wako ambao ni wale watu ambao wewe ni kiongozi wao, members wa Boda Boda Association zote Kenya nzima. As a parting shot, ungekuwa na nafasi ya kubadilisha kitu kimoja, ungebadilisha nini kuhusu jinsi ambavyo finance bill ya 2024 inajadiliwa na mambo ya bajeti? Kitu kimoja tu kwa ufupi tafadhali.
Okay, nikizungumzia kwanza, kuna mali tumesahau upande wa watu wa pikipiki, digital taxi. Unajua pia watu wa pikipiki wanafanya digital, na pia bado kuna vile wamekatwa. Tena mambo ya carbon, wako na pikipiki zinatoa moshi bado watakatwa. So unaona, utakuja kugundua kwamba hii kitu kama tena namna hiyo, hao watu wetu watalazimika kuongeza bei. Unapata bodaboda nowadays wanakuwa wanatumika sana kwa kila mahali, kama ambulances, wanatumika kama school bus. So unaona, hata kubali yeye anunue pikipiki 1500, wameanza kuunda lugha fulani, wanasema pikipiki ya 1500 haiwezi beba shilingi 50. So hiyo sina anakuja kuumia ni Wanjiku ambaye ni mtu wa chini, kwa sababu pia naye ile services watu wanatumia siku hizi ya transport mostly imekuwa ni bodaboda. So utapata kwamba mtu ataona yeye sasa kama imekaza, itabidi nipite na ule mtu ambaye atakuja kutumia pikipiki yangu. Sasa unaona bado mwananchi atakuwa anaumia, sababu sisi nilipa hizi vitu zote alafu wewe ukuje upande pikipiki yangu na shilingi 50. Hiyo inakuwa ni challenge sana. Mimi kama ningepata nafasi ya kuweza uwezo wa kurekebisha hiyo mambo ya finance bill, nitazungumzia tu kuhusu hiyo pikipiki zetu za abiria za biashara. Unajua kuna pikipiki za kufanya hizo safari zingine, nataka kujua mambo yake. Hiyo 100cc na hiyo 150cc. Jembe na kadudu. Hiyo ndio inatuhusu sana, sababu pia ikiguswa tu namna hii sisi naye tumeisa. We have no problem. Hata fuel imekuwa ikiongezwa, wasituongezee kwa kila kitu by the way. Sababu pia tutaki kuonekana kana kwamba sisi ndio tunapinga kila kitu. Wacha tuzungumzie ile ambayo inaweza kusaidia pia na tuweze kusukuma mbele.
All right. Mr. Okaka, your point, parting shot?
Yeah, thank you very much. So my parting shot is that, you know, farmers are the drivers of the economy. And youths in farming is something that should be encouraged really. And you know, like you were saying, that youths are there for the present and for the future. If you don't think about sustainability in terms of how we care about taxing the youths, then we are going nowhere. Because like he was talking about the Laffer curve, they'll reach a point beyond the optimum where now nobody will want to work. And imagine youths not working. Imagine that economy. It will be economy of drug addiction. It will be economy of just chaos. So my advice to the government and to the people who draft these bills, consider that you also came from that point, and we elected you and we trusted you. So the only thing that you could do is to favor us so that we favor you back. And if you don't favor us, it's unfortunate that tomorrow you will not get it.
Right. Yeah. Mr. Shivachi, your parting shot?
On my side, as far as these organizations are concerned, I think they should consider the CBOs, the organizations and the self-help groups, and also this excise duty that is proposed from 15 to 20, where that it will also affect the mobile banking, where it will bring back people to that eras of them doing the informal money storage.
Mattress banking.
Yeah, mattress banking. And also it will increase the crime. So they should consider them and also see what is there to make sure what they promised to the Mama Mboga and the women empowerment, the youth empowerment, so that they can rise and see how they can be improved on the issues.
All right.
Yes.
Mr. Kisaka, your parting shot, please.
And meanwhile, as we get to you, allow us to just look at some of the feedback. Maybe the parting shot will be part as well.
Sure.
Of responding to this. Of course, there's one gentleman who says, Jumbo, say hi to George Maringa and Linda as well. About Facebook, hope they will revisit and rethink about Wanjiku the hustler. I think largely about the digital taxation and all that. And then there's somebody else who says, if there's anyone who really understands this motor vehicle tax, can they please walk us through that? I don't know whether we have time for the same. Those are the questions that at least we have. And as well, there are people who are watching and saying, well, unfortunately, public participation does not count at all or for anything.
Right. Mr. Kisaka.
My parting shot will be to ask that the government would be more sensitive and listen to Kenyans, because the answers that they're seeking are actually amongst Kenyans. Unfortunately, when they close themselves up in small groups and make decisions on behalf of Kenyans without engaging the Kenyans themselves, we end up struggling. And that's what we're having, from all the way from last year, we have continued to complain about, being taxed, about prices being high. It's interesting that, we were always talking about fuel, and fuel is too expensive. I think in the last couple of months, fuel has gone down by almost 30 bob.
Yep.
However, we've stopped talking about fuel, we're now talking about taxes and all these other things. We need to find a place where government and, whether it's both the public side, private side, and every other person is able to talk about what, how they find the current tax regime, what they envision for the future, what they expect to see, and how do they think they can be able to get there. And from there then, government will be able to get all the information that it requires so that we know if we're going to be able to increase tax, we're increasing tax from a place of knowledge. We're not just waking up one morning and saying, okay, so-and-so has not been taxed, let's also tax them. Because we're forgetting, at the moment we're seeing taxes coming onto businesses, forcing the businesses to close. And because the businesses are closing and government is not able to get that amount of revenue they were expecting, they go and now tax indirectly the people who've been fired, the people who've been rendered redundant. Now you're wondering, I don't have the income I used to have, but you're increasing tax on me. I will be agitated,
all right,
unfortunately.
All right. Mr. Nyange, parting shot?
I would want to use Roosevelt, former president of the United States, who gave a speech about citizenry in a republic. And he asked who counts. So even this time, we'll ask who counts. It's not just the critic who is not going to do anything. So Kenyans, this finance bill is coming to Parliament next week for voting. It will be passed by members of Parliament. The budget is coming on Thursday. Call your member of Parliament. Tell him what you want him to do, because you elected him. Every person, including me, I come from a constituency called Kuria West. My member of Parliament is a member of the Budget and Appropriation Committee, Honorable Matthias Ropi. That is my member of Parliament. Call your member of Parliament. They're the ones with the ultimate responsibility in passing this law and ensuring now that you will be taxed. The rest that the National Treasury has done their proposals. Speak to your member of Parliament, tell him what you want to do. And then after this budget has passed, we go into the implementation. Can you monitor what your taxes is doing?
All right.
Again, the National Treasury provide the opportunity for people to come and tell you how the budget implementation is going on the way they have come
Public
to tell you.
participation on that other side as well.
Yes.
All right.
So that we can have value for money.
All right.
That is what I would like to make as my parting shot.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Agola.
Thank you so much. So what we expect from an SME perspective is serious programs around ensuring that SMEs shift to manufacturing, number one. Number two, we expect to see incentives for startups. We've seen Comrade Power here. We have a lot of young people in Kenya who are very innovative. They are raring to go. We see indices, we see funding coming to young people. We want to see government from a tax policy perspective and a taxation perspective giving incentives and allowances to allow for young people to be able to use innovation as a tool for economic empowerment.
All right.
Beautiful. Let's not start saying that we do not know how to get to our members of parliament. At least today we have the social media. Unlike back then where you would say you don't have their numbers. Please engage as much as you can and also just understand what is happening around you, because then you could be that one person who would actually bring that change. Let's engage. Let's have this conversation. And as always, our lines are open. Gentlemen, thank you so much for creating a time. We begin by appreciating Wellington Shivachi. Thank you so much for your time. Equally, Moses K. Rono, Asante Sana. This one, Chrysanthus Okaka Okelo, thank you so much as well for your time. Alex Kulema, Asante Sana for your time. Tony Kisaka, Asante Sana, as well as Nyangi John Juma. Thank you so much. And last but not least, Victor Agola, asanteni sana, gentlemen, for the great insights that we've gotten this evening, and you back at home as well for your feedback. I mean, immense feedback right here, but we appreciate all the same. Victor Muyakane, as we come to a close.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for choosing us to inform you. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. I hope your submissions have been of help to Kenyans, and I hope you've understood what was going on. But can we do something about Kuinama, your comrades? That's one. Two, can we give visas for ladies to join us on such a panel?